Oh, dear listener, let me tell you something right from the start. You won't believe how a simple custody battle turned my world upside down, only for truth to come crashing in like a storm on live TV. My name is Elena, and this is my story. One that starts with heartbreak but ends with a kind of peace I never thought possible. If you're here, sitting quietly, maybe with a cup of tea in hand, wondering about the twists life throws at us, stick with me. You can't imagine what's at the end of this real-life tale. It'll teach you lessons about love, patience, and how truth always finds its way out, no matter how deep it's buried. Lessons no one told me before, but ones that could change how you see your own family struggles. And if this resonates with you, please, hit that subscribe button on True Heart Voices, give it a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your support means the world to a new channel like mine. It motivates me to keep sharing stories. Now, let's dive in, and I promise, you'll want to listen all the way to the end. It was a crisp autumn morning in our quiet suburb outside Seattle, the kind where the leaves crunch underfoot and the air smells like rain about to fall. I remember standing in the kitchen, the coffee maker gurgling softly as I poured myself a mug, steam rising like a whisper. My hands trembled just a bit, not from the cold, but from the weight of what was coming. Today was the day the judge would decide where my kids, my sweet Jamie and little Sophie, would live. At 12 and 8, they were old enough to have opinions, but young enough that those opinions could be swayed by pretty promises and shiny lies. I glanced at the clock on the wall, its steady tick echoing in the empty house. 8:45 a.m. The hearing was at 10, and my lawyer had warned me, "Elena, brace yourself. The kids have been talking to the evaluator and, well, it's not looking good." Not looking good. Those words had haunted me for weeks, like a bad dream I couldn't shake. How had it come to this? Me, Elena Thompson, the mom who'd bake cookies for school fundraisers, driven to every soccer practice, and tucked them in with stories every night, now painted as the unstable one, the one who couldn't be trusted. I set the mug down, the ceramic clinking against the granite counter, and leaned against it for support. The house felt too big without them, the silence pressing in. Mark, my soon-to-be ex-husband, had moved out 6 months ago, taking half the furniture and all the certainty from our lives. We'd been married for 15 years, built what I thought was a solid life in this cozy 3-bedroom home with its white picket fence and backyard swing set. But cracks had formed over time, small at first, late nights at the office, hushed phone calls, a distance I couldn't bridge. The betrayal hadn't hit all at once. No, it crept in like fog, rolling off the Puget Sound. It started with the little things. Mark forgetting our anniversary. Then the unexplained charges on our credit card for dinners I hadn't eaten, hotels I hadn't visited. I'd confronted him one evening after the kids were asleep, the living room lit only by the soft glow of the lamp. "Mark, what's going on? Who is she?" His face had paled, but he denied it at first, his voice steady, like the accountant he was. "You're imagining things, Elena. Work's just stressful." But I knew. A wife's intuition is sharper than any knife. When the truth finally spilled out, a coworker, younger, no kids, someone who made him feel alive again, it shattered me. I filed for divorce the next week, thinking I'd get primary custody. After all, I'd been the one there day in and day out. But Mark, with his charm and his stable job at the firm, started spinning tales. To the kids, he whispered about my moods, how I was overwhelmed and not herself lately. To the court, he presented affidavits from colleagues about my supposed breakdowns, exaggerated stories from times I'd cried in the break room after a tough day at my nursing job. I wiped a tear from my cheek now, staring out the kitchen window at the neighbor's dog barking in the yard. How could my own children believe him? Jamie, with his messy brown hair and love for video games, had looked at me last weekend during visitation and said, "Mom, Dad says you're not well." He has a bigger house now, with a pool. We could have fun there. Sophie had nodded, clutching her stuffed bear, her eyes wide and uncertain. It felt like a knife twisting in my gut, but I didn't lash out. No, I hugged them tight, the scent of their shampoo, apple for Sophie, something woodsy for Jamie, filling my senses. "I love you both more than anything," I'd said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Whatever happens, I'm here. That's who I am, the steady one, the one who holds it together. Born in a small town in Oregon, raised by parents who taught me resilience through their own quiet struggles. Dad's factory job layoffs, Mom's endless shifts at the diner, I'd always prided myself on being the rock. Nursing school had honed that, dealing with patients' pain day after day at the hospital. But this was personal, raw, like my heart had been laid bare in that courtroom. As I grabbed my coat and keys, the phone buzzed on the counter. It was my sister Clara calling from Portland. "Hey sis, you okay? Need me to come up?" Her voice was warm, a lifeline in the chaos. We'd always been close, her the free spirit to my grounded self. "I'm hanging in there," I replied, forcing a smile she couldn't see. "Just heading to court now." She sighed. "Mark's a snake, Elena. But the truth will come out. It always does." I wanted to believe her, but doubt gnawed at me like the chill in the air. The drive to the courthouse was a blur of gray skies and traffic, the radio droning about local news. Something about a corporate scandal brewing at a big accounting firm downtown. I barely registered it, my mind replaying every moment with the kids, like the time Jamie fell off his bike last summer, scraping his knee bloody on the pavement. I'd cleaned it up, bandaged it with care, while Mark was stuck at work. Or Sophie's first school play, where she beamed as the little tree and I clapped the loudest from the front row. Those memories were my armor, but would they be enough? Pulling into the parking lot, I spotted Mark's sleek black SUV already there, shiny under the overcast sky. He stepped out as I approached, his suit crisp, hair perfectly combed. "Elena," he said, his tone neutral, like we were discussing the weather. No remorse in his eyes, just calculation. Beside him stood his lawyer, a sharp woman in heels that clicked on the concrete. My own attorney, Mr. Hayes, met me at the steps, his briefcase swinging. "Ready?" he asked, his bushy eyebrows furrowed. I nodded, though my stomach churned. Inside, the courtroom smelled of polished wood and stale coffee, the benches hard under me as we waited. The judge, an older man with wire-rimmed glasses, entered, and the room hushed.
"In the matter of Thompson versus..."
"Thompson," he intoned, his voice gravelly. My heart pounded as the custody evaluator took the stand, a middle-aged woman with a clipboard full of notes. "Based on interviews," she said, "the children expressed a preference to live primarily with their father. They cited concerns about the mother's emotional stability and the father's more structured environment." The words hit like a slap. I gripped the table, nails digging into the wood. Jamie and Sophie weren't there, too young for the courtroom drama, but their words echoed through a testimony. Mark sat straight, a faint smile playing on his lips. How had he twisted them so? Through gifts, perhaps. The new gaming console at his place, the weekend trips to the arcade, or worse, through subtle poison. "Your mom's been sad a lot. I can take care of you better." When it was my turn, I spoke softly, my voice steady. "Your Honor, I've been there constant. The late-night fevers, the homework help, the hugs after bad days. That's me. Mark's job keeps him away, and his choices broke our family." But the judge nodded thoughtfully, then ruled. Primary custody to Mark, with me getting weekends and holidays. "The children's wishes were clear," he said. I felt the room spin, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry bees. Outside, in the hallway, Mark approached. "It's for the best, Elena. They'll be happy." I looked him in the eye, my voice low. "Happy? You lied to them about me." He shrugged, turning away. As I walked to my car, tears blurring the world, I whispered to myself, "This isn't over. Love waits." Little did I know, fate had its own plan, one that would unfold on a screen for all to see. That night, alone in the house, I curled up on the couch with a blanket that still smelled faintly of the kids' laundry detergent. The TV flickered with the evening news, but I barely watched. My phone lit up with texts from Clara. "Come stay with me. You need a break." I typed back, "Maybe soon." But inside, a quiet resolve built. I wouldn't fight dirty like Mark. I'd show them, through actions, who I really was. The stable mom. The loving one. And perhaps one day the truth about him would surface. The next few weeks blurred into a routine of emptiness punctuated by weekend visits. I'd pick up Jamie and Sophie from Mark's new condo in the city, a sleek place with views of the skyline and a pool that sparkled under lights. "Mom, Dad got us new bikes!" Sophie would chatter, her pigtails bouncing. Jamie was quieter, absorbed in his phone, but he'd hug me tight when we said goodbye. Those moments kept me going, like sparks in the dark. At work, my shifts at the hospital were a distraction. Tending to patients, their stories of illness and recovery reminding me that healing takes time. One evening, as I changed out of my scrubs, my coworker Lisa pulled me aside in the locker room. "You okay? You look tired." I forced a smile. "Just family stuff." She nodded, understanding. "Hang in there. Kids see the truth eventually." Back home, I'd cook dinners for one. The aroma of spaghetti sauce filling the kitchen, reminding me of family nights gone by. I'd set the table anyway, as if expecting them, the clink of utensils echoing. It was in those quiet hours that doubt crept in. Had I been too emotional during the divorce? Had my tears scared them? But no, I knew the real culprit. Mark's manipulation, his way of turning everything to his advantage. One Saturday during a visit, we baked cookies together, the chocolate chip kind, with the dough sticking to our fingers. Laughter filled the kitchen as Sophie licked the spoon, Jamie sneaking extra chips. "I miss this," Jamie said softly, his eyes meeting mine. "Miss you too, bud," I replied, ruffling his hair. For a moment, normalcy returned, warm and sweet, like the cookies fresh from the oven. But as I dropped them off that evening, Mark was waiting at the door with his new girlfriend hovering in the background. The ache returned. She waved awkwardly, her perfume wafting out, something floral and too strong. "Bye, Mom," Sophie called, and I drove away, the city lights blurring through tears. Little clues started appearing, though I didn't connect them at first. Jamie mentioned Dad working late a lot, staring at his computer like it's on fire. Sophie said he seemed worried, snapping at small things. I brushed it off. Stress from the job, perhaps. Mark was a senior accountant at Evergreen Financial, handling big clients. Probably just busy, I told them. Then came the day it all shifted. It was a Tuesday afternoon, much like today. November 4th, 2024, actually, if you can believe how time aligns. I was at work, checking a patient's vitals when my phone buzzed with a news alert. Breaking, embezzlement scandal at Evergreen Financial, executive arrested live on air. My heart skipped. Evergreen? That was Mark's firm. I rushed to the break room, my scrubs swishing as I moved, the fluorescent lights overhead casting a harsh glow. My hands fumbled with the phone, nearly dropping it as I pulled up the news app. The headline screamed in bold letters, "Senior accountant at Evergreen Financial caught in multi-million-dollar embezzlement scheme, arrested during live press conference." There was a video thumbnail, frozen on a man in a suit being led away in handcuffs, his face blurred but familiar. My breath caught. It couldn't be. But deep down, a part of me knew. The break room was empty, save for the hum of the vending machine and the faint scent of leftover microwave popcorn. I hit play, the volume low, my ear pressed close. The reporter's voice crackled through. In a stunning turn of events, Mark Thompson, a longtime executive at Evergreen, was apprehended today after whistleblower tips led to an FBI raid. Sources say he's accused of siphoning funds from client accounts over the past 2 years, totaling over $5 million. The arrest unfolded live as Thompson attempted to address the media, denying any wrongdoing. The video cut to footage from earlier that day. Mark standing at a podium in the firm's lobby, his tie slightly askew, sweat beading on his forehead under the camera lights.
"These allegations are baseless,"
he said, his voice steady, but with that edge I recognized from our arguments. Then, chaos. Agents and windbreakers bursting through the doors, badges flashing.
"Mark Thompson, you're under arrest for embezzlement and wire fraud."
He froze, his mouth agape, as they cuffed him. The camera shook, capturing the gas from the crowd. I sank into a chair, the plastic creaking under me. My mind raced. Embezzlement? Mark, the man who'd lectured me about budgeting, who balanced our checkbook with precision. But then, flashes of oddities I'd ignored, the fancy watches he'd started wearing, the unexplained bonuses that paid for his new condo, the way he dodged questions about work. Had this been going on during our marriage? Was that why the late nights, the distance? Not just the affair, but this. A wave of nausea hit me, mixing with a strange relief. If this was true, it explained so much. The custody win, built on his stable image. The kids choosing him, lured by the luxuries this stolen money bought. But what about Jamie and Sophie? Were they watching this? Mark's girlfriend, did she know? I grabbed my phone again, dialing Clara. "Did you see the news?" I whispered when she picked up. "Elena?" "Oh God, yeah, it's all over my feed. Is that your Mark? The one being dragged away like a criminal?" Her voice was a mix of shock and vindication. I nodded, though she couldn't see. "Yeah, I don't know what to think." We talked for a few minutes, her words a balm. This changes everything. The court will have to revisit custody, but I hung up feeling numb, the hospital pager buzzing me back to reality. That evening after my shift, I drove straight to Mark's condo instead of home. The sun had set, casting long shadows over the city streets, headlights blurring in the light rain. My wipers swished rhythmically, like a heartbeat. I needed to see the kids, to shield them from this storm. Pulling up, I saw police tape fluttering outside the building, raided, no doubt. A neighbor eyed me curiously as I buzzed the intercom. No answer. Panic rose. Where were they? Finally, Mark's girlfriend, Lila, her name was, opened the door, her eyes red-rimmed, mascara smudged. She was younger than me, with that effortless style I'd once envied, but now she looked small, defeated. "Elena," she said, stepping aside, "the kids are inside. Mark, he's in custody. They took him this afternoon." Jamie and Sophie were on the couch, huddled under a blanket, the TV muted on a cartoon. Sophie's eyes lit up when she saw me. "Mommy!" She ran into my arms, her small body warm against mine. Jamie hung back, his face pale, controller forgotten in his lap. "Is Dad okay?" he asked, voice cracking. I knelt down, pulling them both close, the scent of popcorn on their breath. "He's in some trouble, but we'll figure it out. I'm here now." Lila hovered awkwardly in the kitchen, pouring herself a glass of water with shaking hands. "I didn't know," she muttered when the kids went to grab snacks. "He said the money was from investments." I swear. I studied her. Was she telling the truth? Or part of it? But right then, it didn't matter. "Can I take them home?" I asked. She nodded. "Yeah, the cops said it's fine. They questioned me already." As we packed their bags, little clues emerged. In Mark's home office, drawers hung open from the search, papers scattered. I glimpsed bank statements, transfers to offshore accounts, lavish expenses. Jamie tugged my sleeve. "Dad said he was successful, Mom." "That you were jealous." His words stung, but I squeezed his hand. Sometimes people say things when they're scared. "Let's go home." The drive back was quiet, rain pattering on the roof. Sophie dozed in the back, her breathing soft and even. Jamie stared out the window. "Why did Dad lie?" he finally asked. I chose my words carefully. "I don't know everything yet, sweetie, but we'll get through this together." Inside, anger simmered, not just at Mark, but at how he'd poisoned their view of me. Yet I held back. "No, I told you so." That wasn't me. Back at the house, I tucked them into their old beds, the rooms still as they'd left them, posters on the walls, toys in the corner. The familiar creak of the floorboards grounded me. As they slept, I sat in the living room, the clock ticking past midnight. My phone buzzed with notifications, friends texting about the news, a voicemail from Mr. Hayes. "Elena, this is Gold." We can petition for emergency custody reversal tomorrow. But sleep evaded me. I replayed the video in my mind, Mark's face as the cuffs clicked shut. How long had he been stealing? During our marriage, when we'd argued about money, the affair with Lila, had that been funded by this too? Questions swirled like the steam from my forgotten tea. The next morning, over breakfast, pancakes with syrup, the kitchen filled with the sweet, buttery smell, I broached it gently. How are you feeling about Dad? Sophie poked at her food. Scared. Is he going to jail? Jamie shrugged, but his eyes were misty. He said you were the one who messed up, Mom, but now I set my fork down. I was hurt, yes, but I never lied to you. Dad made mistakes, big ones. That doesn't mean we stop loving him. But it does mean things change. After dropping them at school, explaining to the principal about the family emergency, I met with Mr. Hayes at his office downtown. The space smelled of leather and coffee, files stacked high. The FBI's case is solid, he said, sliding over printouts. Whistleblowers from the firm tipped them off months ago. Mark's looking at 10 to 20 years if convicted. I scanned the documents, falsified reports, client funds diverted to personal accounts. One name jumped out, a client I'd met at a company picnic, an elderly widow whose retirement he'd managed. Stolen from her. This proves his instability, Mr. Hayes continued. We'll argue the kids were influenced by a false narrative. I nodded, but a heaviness settled. Victory felt hollow if it came at the cost of their innocence. That afternoon, the story exploded further. Local news vans parked outside Mark's condo, reporters thrusting microphones at anyone who passed. My phone rang off the hook, old friends, distant relatives. Clara drove up from Portland, arriving with hugs and takeout Chinese, the savory aroma filling the house. You're strong, sis, she said as we ate on the couch, kids playing upstairs. But lean on me. As days turned to weeks, more clues surfaced. During a visit to Mark in jail, arranged through lawyers, I faced him across the plexiglass, his orange jumpsuit a stark contrast to his old suits. The room echoed with murmurs from other visitors. Elena, he said, voice tinny through the phone. I didn't mean for this to happen. I leaned in. Didn't mean to steal? Or to turn the kids against me. He looked down, fingers tracing the counter. It started small. A client error I covered, then it snowballed. The money helped with the divorce, the new place. Anger flared. You used stolen cash to buy their love? He winced. I was desperate. Lila pushed for more, but I swear I thought I could pay it back. Lila, another layer. Had she known? Leaving the jail, the cold air bit at my cheeks. Suspicion gnawed. Was she involved? But I focused on the kids. We started family counseling, a cozy office with soft chairs and a therapist named Dr. Ruiz, her voice gentle like a summer breeze. It's okay to feel confused, she'd say, as Jamie fidgeted, Sophie drawing pictures of fractured families. Slowly, truths emerged in those sessions. Mark's promises unkept, his temper when stressed. One evening, after counseling, Jamie confessed over dinner. The table set with simple pasta, steam rising. Dad said you cried all the time because you were weak, but you're not, Mom. Tears welled in my eyes, but I smiled. We all cry sometimes. It doesn't make us weak. Sophie nodded. I miss Dad, but I like being home. The betrayal deepened as court dates loomed. Prosecutors shared evidence, emails where Mark bragged about creative accounting to Lila, who replied with heart emojis. She knew, at least partly. When confronted in deposition, her sitting across the table, nails tapping nervously, she admitted. He told me it was bonuses, but text proved otherwise. The judge, the same one from before, frowned at the revelations. Public consequence built like a wave. The scandal hit national news. Local execs fall from grace, family torn apart. Reporters called, but I declined interviews, shielding the kids. At school, whispers followed them. Jamie came home with a black eye from a fight. They called Dad a thief, he sobbed. I held him, the weight of his body against mine. People talk, but we know our truth. Mark's perfect life crumbled publicly during his arraignment, broadcast live. Cameras caught Lila slipping out the back, avoiding questions. His firm fired him, and clients sued. Friends distanced themselves. In our quiet suburb, neighbors brought casseroles, their sympathy warm like the dishes they carried. Through it all, I stayed dignified. No gloating. When the kids asked to visit him, I arranged it, driving the long route to the detention center, radio playing soft tunes. "Why are you nice to him, Mom?" Sophie asked once. "Because hate hurts us more than them," I replied. Healing began in small ways. Weekends at the park, leaves crunching underfoot, baking sessions where laughter drowned out the pain. Dr. Ruiz helped us unpack the lies, rebuilding trust. Jamie opened up about feeling manipulated. Sophie drew happier pictures. One night, as rain tapped the windows, I reflected alone. Truth had surfaced, as Clara predicted. But the lesson? Love endures, patient and kind. It waits through storms. Yet even as those seeds of healing took root, the storm wasn't over. The reaction to Mark's downfall rippled through our lives like aftershocks, forcing me to act in ways I never imagined. The morning after one of our counseling sessions, I woke to the sound of my phone buzzing incessantly on the nightstand, the early light filtering through the curtains in soft golden streaks. It was Mr. Hayes, his voice urgent. "Elena, the prosecutor's office wants to talk to you. They think you might have insights into Mark's activities during the marriage." I sat up, rubbing my eyes, the sheets tangled around me. Insights? Me. I'd been blind to so much. But as I brewed coffee, the rich aroma grounding me, I realized I did know things. Small discrepancies in our finances I'd dismissed, like the work trips that never showed on his calendar or the cash withdrawals he'd brushed off as gifts for clients. Had I unknowingly been part of his facade? After getting the kids off to school, Jamie with his backpack slung low, Sophie waving from the bus window, I drove to the federal building downtown. The lobby echoed with footsteps, the air cool and sterile like the hospital corridors I knew so well. An agent named Ramirez met me in a small conference room, his suit rumpled, a file spread before him. "Mrs. Thompson," he said, shaking my hand firmly. "Anything you recall could help build the case." I hesitated, fiddling with the edge of my sweater. Telling tales felt wrong, like stooping to Mark's level. But then I thought of that widow client, her life savings gone. "There were odd deposits," I said softly, my voice steadying. "And he started spending more. New car, vacations. I thought it was promotions." Ramirez nodded, jotting notes, the pen scratching paper. "Did he ever mention offshore accounts?" I shook my head. "No, but once during an argument he said, 'You have no idea how I make this work.'" I thought he meant overtime. The interview lasted an hour, details pouring out like water from a cracked dam. Leaving, I felt a mix of relief and guilt. The city bustle outside a stark contrast to the quiet interrogation. Was this revenge? No, it was justice, protecting others from what he'd done to us. Back home, I called Clara. "I talked to the feds," I said, pacing the kitchen, the floor cool under my socks. She whistled low. "Good for you. He can't hide anymore." But the kids, how to shield them? That evening, over grilled cheese sandwiches, the bread toasting golden, cheese melting gooey, I sat them down. "Dad's in big trouble with money stuff at work," I explained gently. Jamie frowned. "Like stealing?" Sophie's eyes widened. I nodded. "Yes, like that. But we're safe here." They asked questions, voices small. And I answered honestly, no sugarcoating, but with hugs to soften the blows. My action deepened as the custody petition moved forward. Mr. Hayes filed emergency motions, citing Mark's arrest as evidence of his unfitness.
We'll highlight the manipulation,
He said over coffee at a cafe, steam curling from our mugs. I provided affidavits, logs of visitation, counseling notes showing the kids' confusion. It was methodical, like charting a patient's recovery, but emotional, each word a step toward reclaiming my family. Meanwhile, Lila's role unraveled. Subpoenaed texts revealed she'd encouraged the spending, even suggesting ways to invest the funds. When I ran into her at the grocery store, aisles lined with colorful produce, the scent of fresh bread wafting, I couldn't avoid her. She looked haggard, cart half full. "Elena, I'm sorry," she whispered, glancing around. I didn't know the extent. I studied her face, searching for sincerity. "You hurt my family," I said calmly, "but I hope you find your way." No screaming, just truth. She nodded, tears welling, and walked away. The kids' reactions varied. Jamie withdrew at first, spending hours in his room, the door closed with a soft click. I'd knock gently, offering ice cream, vanilla with sprinkles, his favorite, and we'd talk. "I feel stupid for believing him," he'd admit, voice muffled. "You're not stupid," I'd reply, sitting on the bed's edge, the mattress dipping. "You loved your dad. That's okay." Sophie acted out, drawing angry scribbles in her notebook. In counseling, Dr. Ruiz helped. "Draw what hurts," she'd say, and Sophie would sketch broken hearts, then color them mending. I took action for myself too, joining a support group for divorced parents, held in a community center smelling of old books and fresh coffee. Women shared stories similar to mine, voices trembling then strengthening. "You reclaim your power," one said, and I nodded, feeling less alone. As weeks passed, the public consequence hit like a tidal wave. Mark's arraignment was televised, the courtroom packed, cameras whirring. I watched from home, kids at school, the TV screen casting blue light across the room. Mark entered, shackled, his lawyer whispering urgently. The judge read charges: embezzlement, fraud, and money laundering. Bail denied, flight risk. Gasps echoed through the speakers. The media frenzy exploded, headlines blared. Execs double life, affair, theft, and a shattered family. Reporters dug into our divorce, painting Mark as the villain, me as the resilient mom. A local station aired a segment interviewing former colleagues. "He seems so put together," one said. But whistleblowers emerged, co-workers who'd suspected, tipped off the FBI. Social media buzzed. X posts, that's Twitter, dear, with hashtags like #evergreen_scandal. People sharing memes of Mark's shocked face. Our suburb felt the ripple. Neighbors whispered at the mailbox, but kindly, bringing pies, the flaky crust warm, offering babysitting. At work, patients recognized me. "Saw your ex on the news," an elderly man said during his checkup, his hand patting mine. "You're better off." I smiled faintly. "We're healing." The kids faced it too. At school, teasing peaked, then faded as teachers intervened. Jamie's friends rallied, inviting him over for games, laughter filtering through the phone. Sophie's class did a kindness chain, paper links of encouragement. But the hardest was Mark's calls from jail. Collect, his voice echoing. "Tell the kids I love them," he'd say. I'd relay it, neutral, no poison. Lila's consequence came swiftly. Fired from her job, ties to Mark too toxic. She moved out of the condo, which was seized for restitution. Rumors said she went back to her parents in Idaho, tail between her legs. I felt a pang, not glee, but pity. Everyone pays for choices. The court's response was my turning point. At the custody hearing, the judge, glasses perched low, reviewed the evidence. "Mr. Thompson's actions demonstrate profound instability," he ruled, granting me full primary custody. Mark's visit supervised post-release. Jamie and Sophie cheered when I told them over pizza that night, cheese stretching in long strings. "We're staying with you?" Sophie asked. "Yes, loves, home." But consequence spread wider. The firm collapsed under lawsuits, jobs lost, innocent people hurt by Mark's greed. I donated anonymously to a fund for affected employees, a small check from my savings. It felt right, closing a circle. Through it all, I acted with grace. No public statements, just quiet rebuilding. Clara stayed a week, helping with routines, morning walks, the crisp air invigorating. "You're a rock," she said. I laughed softly. Rocks crack sometimes, but they endure. As the dust settled, I saw the lesson clearer. Actions have echoes, but so does forgiveness. Not for Mark, that would take time, but for myself, for trusting too long. The public fall stripped his mask, revealing the man beneath. And in that reveal, we found our way back. With the courts ruling in our favor, a new chapter began. Not with fanfare, but with the quiet rhythm of everyday life reclaiming its place. The house, once echoing with absence, filled again with the sounds of family. Jamie's laughter from the living room as he played video games. Sophie's crayons scratching across paper at the kitchen table. The sizzle of dinner on the stove. It was November now, the holidays approaching. Leaves swirling in the wind outside like confetti, celebrating our reunion. But healing wasn't instant. It was a slow weave, thread by thread, mending the tears Mark had left. I started by reestablishing routines, the kind that ground us. Mornings began with breakfast together, oatmeal steaming in bowls, topped with fresh berries I'd picked up from the market, their tart sweetness bursting on the tongue. "Pass the milk, Mom," Jamie would say, his voice lighter than before. Sophie chattered about school, her words tumbling like autumn leaves. These moments were my balm, reminding me that love's foundation hadn't crumbled entirely. Counseling continued, twice a week in Dr. Ruiz's office, where the air smelled faintly of lavender from a diffuser on her desk. She guided us through exercises. "Share one good memory from before," she'd prompt, her pen poised over her notebook. Jamie recalled a family camping trip, the crackle of the fire, and s'mores sticky on our fingers. Sophie mentioned movie nights, popcorn kernels crunching underfoot. I shared how Mark and I had danced in the kitchen once to an old radio tune, before the distance grew. These stories humanized him, softening the edges of betrayal without excusing it. At home, we talked openly. One rainy afternoon, as drops pattered against the windows like gentle knocks, Sophie climbed into my lap on the couch. "Why did Dad do bad things?" she asked, her small hand tracing patterns on my arm. I held her close, the warmth of her body a comfort. "Sometimes people make wrong choices when they're hurting inside, but that doesn't define you or me." Jamie, eavesdropping from the doorway, joined us. "I was mad at you, Mom, for not fighting harder." His honesty stung, but I welcomed it. I was fighting, in my way, by being steady. School helped too. Jamie joined the soccer team again, his cleats muddying the entryway after practices, the earthy scent mingling with dinner aromas. Sophie's teacher noted her drawings, shifting from stormy scenes to sunny ones, colors bright and bold. Friends came over, filling the house with youthful energy, board games scattered, laughter echoing. It was as if the scandal's shadow was fading, chased away by normalcy's light. Mark's presence lingered, though supervised. His first visit post-ruling was at a neutral park, benches damp from morning dew. A mediator nearby. He looked thinner, his eyes shadowed, orange replaced by civilian clothes that hung loose. "Kids," he said, voice cracking as they approached cautiously. Sophie hugged him tentatively, Jamie offering a fist bump. They played catch, the ball thumping softly between them, while I watched from afar, heart a mix of ache and resolve. In private calls, monitored, brief, he apologized. "Elena, I messed up everything." His words came through the phone line, tinny and distant. "Yes, you did," I replied evenly. "But focus on getting better. No full forgiveness yet, that would come with time, if ever. For now, boundaries protected us. I focused on my own growth. At the hospital, I took on extra shifts, the beeps of monitors and chatter of colleagues a steady hum. One night, after a long day, I enrolled in an online course, financial literacy, ironically, to understand what I'd missed. The glow of the laptop screen lit my face as I studied, empowering me against future blindsides. Clara visited often, her car pulling up with Portland fog still clinging to it. We'd sip wine on the porch, stars twinkling overhead, sharing laughs and tears. "You're blooming, sis," she'd say, clinking glasses. Her support was a lifeline, reminding me family extends beyond blood gone sour. Holidays brought tests and triumphs. Thanksgiving, our first without Mark, was intimate. Turkey roasting, its savory herbs filling the air, pies cooling on the sill. We invited neighbors, plates clattering as we passed food, stories flowing. Jamie carved the bird awkwardly, Sophie giggling. No empty chair loomed. Instead, gratitude filled the space. Christmas followed, lights twinkling on the tree we decorated together, pine scent sharp and fresh. Gifts were simple, books for Jamie, art supplies for Sophie, but wrapped with care. Mark sent cards from jail, drawings inside that Sophie pinned up. It's okay to love him still, I told them, and meant it. Healing deepened in unexpected ways. Jamie opened up about guilt and counseling, tears streaming as he admitted, I chose wrong. Dr. Ruiz nodded. Choices teach us. Sophie wrote a letter to Mark, her handwriting wobbly. I miss you, but I'm happy with Mom. Mailing it felt like releasing a balloon, watching it soar. Community played a role. The support group became a weekly anchor, women sharing triumphs over coffee and cookies, crumbs scattering. My ex embezzled too, one confided, and we bonded over resilience. I volunteered at a local shelter, sorting donations, the rustle of clothes, clink of cans, giving back what life had tested. Physically, I reclaimed myself. Morning runs along the neighborhood paths, breath puffing in the chill air, leaves crunching under sneakers. Yoga in the living room, mats unrolled, the stretch easing knots of tension. My reflection in the mirror showed strength. Lines etched by trials, but eyes brighter. By spring, buds blooming outside like promises kept, the kids thrived. Jamie's grades improved. Sophie's confidence grew. Mark's trial loomed, but we faced it prepared, me testifying calmly, recounting facts without venom. The verdict? Guilty, 12 years. He nodded at me from the dock, a silent acknowledgement. In quiet moments, I'd reflect by the window, coffee in hand, steam curling. The betrayal had scarred, but scars tell stories of survival. I learned trust is earned, love patient, truth inevitable. Love waits, I'd whispered that first day. Now it flourished. As months turned to a year, our new normal solidified. Birthdays celebrated with cakes baked from scratch, frosting sweet on fingers. School events where I cheered from the stands, voice blending with others. Friends became family extensions, barbecues in the backyard, smoke rising lazily. One evening, as sunset painted the sky in oranges and pinks, Jamie said, Mom, thanks for not giving up. Sophie nodded, hugging my waist. Tears pricked my eyes. Never would. That night, tucking them in, sheets soft, stories read in hushed tones, I felt whole. Healing wasn't erasure. It was integration. Mark's mistakes taught us empathy. My endurance showed strength. We emerged not broken, but reshaped. Stronger, wiser. And so, dear listener, as I wrap this tale, let me share more of those mending days. There was the time Jamie had his first school dance, nerves jittering as he adjusted his tie in the mirror. You look handsome, I said, smoothing his collar, the fabric crisp under my fingers. He blushed but smiled. Dropping him off, watching him walk in with friends, I felt a swell of pride. He'd come so far from the withdrawn boy post-scandal. Sophie discovered painting, canvases set up in the garage, the smell of acrylics sharp and vibrant. Look, Mom, she'd exclaim, holding up abstracts in blues and greens, colors swirling like emotions resolved. We'd hang them on the walls, transforming the house into a gallery of hope. Weekends brought adventures, hikes in the nearby woods, trails crunching with fallen branches, birdsong overhead. Picnics with sandwiches wrapped in foil, juice boxes chilled. Laughter as we skipped stones on a stream, splashes rippling out. Mark's letters arrived sporadically, words of regret scrawled in blue ink. The kids responded sometimes, their replies short but kind. "He's trying," Jamie noted once, folding a page. "Growth for all." I dated tentatively, a coffee here, a walk there. No rush. Self-love came first. One man, a teacher named Alex, shared my love of books, conversations flowing over lattes frothy and warm. "You're inspiring," he said. Blush-worthy but true. I'd become that. Financially, restitution trickled in, Mark's assets liquidated. I saved for college funds, the numbers in my ledger a testament to independence. By the scandal's anniversary, media interest waned, but lessons endured. We volunteered together, soup kitchen shifts, steam from pots warming our faces, serving those in need. "Giving helps," Sophie said, ladle in hand. In the end, healing was a mosaic, pieces of pain fitted with gold of growth. Truth surfaced, love waited, and we thrived. As the seasons cycled on, each one bringing its own gentle reminders of progress. Summer arrived with warmth that seeped into our bones. Backyard barbecues where the sizzle of burgers on the grill mixed with the kids' playful shouts. We'd invite Clara and her family, the table laden with salads crisp and fresh, lemonade tart on the tongue. Laughter flowed freely, stories shared without the weight of the past dragging them down. Jamie manned the grill, flipping patties with a confidence that made my heart swell. He was growing into a young man, thoughtful and kind. Sophie chased fireflies as dusk fell, her jar glowing with captured light, a metaphor for the sparks of joy we'd rediscovered. Fall brought school routines anew, backpacks heavy with books, the scent of sharpened pencils and new notebooks filling the air. Parent-teacher conferences where educators praised their resilience. "Jamie's a leader in class," one said. "Sophie's creativity shines." I nodded, pride warming me like the spice cider I sipped on cool evenings. Mark's letters continued, evolving from apologies to reflections on his time inside. Books he'd read, lessons learned. The kids responded less frequently, their lives full. But when they did, it was with maturity beyond their years. Winter wrapped us in coziness, snow blanketing the yard like a fresh start. We built snowmen, carrots for noses, crooked and fun, scarves fluttering in the breeze. Holidays were brighter, tree ornaments including new ones, symbolizing our trio, a heart for love, a bridge for healing. Mark called on Christmas Eve, his voice steady through the line. "Tell them Merry Christmas," he said. I did, and they smiled, no bitterness. Through it all, the moral etched itself deep. Truth always surfaces, but it's patience and love that endure the weight. I saw it in the kids' eyes, free of confusion. In my own reflection, lines softened by peace. We weren't perfect. Arguments still arose, like when Jamie stayed out late or Sophie forgot chores. But we resolved them with talks over hot chocolate, marshmallows melting slowly. One spring day, as flowers bloomed in riotous color outside, I sat with the kids on the porch swing, its chains creaking rhythmically. "What did you learn from all this?" I asked. Jamie thought a moment. "That people can change, but you have to protect yourself." Sophie added, "Love means being there, like you, Mom." Their words were the ultimate closure, a testament to endurance. And so, dear listener, that's my story. From the depths of betrayal in that custody fight to the heights of redemption when Mark's perfect facade crumbled on live TV. It's a reminder that life tests us, but we rise. Truth waits in the wings, ready to reveal itself when the time is right. Love, real love, doesn't demand. It persists, gentle and unwavering. If there's a lesson here, it's this. Hold your dignity through the storms, for clear skies follow. And remember, forgiveness isn't for the one who wronged you, it's for your own heart's freedom. Now, I have to ask you, would you have waited like I did, letting truth unfold without a bitter word? Or would you have fought back harder from the start? Tell me in the comments below. Your stories inspire me as much as mine might touch you. If this tale moved you, resonated in some corner of your soul, please subscribe to True Heart Voices. We're just starting out, and every like, share, and subscription lights the way forward. It motivates me to keep sharing these real-life journeys, ones that remind us we're not alone. Thank you for listening all the way through. You've made my day brighter. Until next time, take care of your heart.